no, I don't think Trump has been certainly not better for the Middle East. He's definitely been as bad as, if not worse than Biden. And no, I don't think the Democrats were good on this issue at all. But again, no matter what you disagree with policy-wise with Barack Obama or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, these are still rational people who you can rely on to have some consistent policies. It is not the erratic, impulsive, ignorant, belligerent, insecure, thin-skinned, obsessed with a Nobel Peace Prize guy that we have right now.
Right. Now, if you're all happy to stay, we can take a few more questions because we've done a lot of talking up here. So I'm actually going to come down if there is, okay, one up there. And is there anybody downstairs? I'm not sure. We'll try and take one from down. Go with you first, sorry.
Freddie, two things. First is if you could tell Mr. Gove to maybe get an Instagram account or something and just get kind of relevant and see what's going on in the world. That would be really beneficial for him, I think. Second point is, I guess this is slightly off-piste, but where do you think Elon Musk's relationship with Donald Trump comes in? Because I actually don't think we're in a safer space, given that they've had this ridiculous bromance and they are on again, off again. How can you assure us that we're in a safe situation when they can't even figure out where they are?
Okay. So, lovely, that's great. And I don't know, I can't see a microphone downstairs. There it is, brilliant. If you want to take there's a question back there, and that will probably be the last one, I think. Might get one or two more in.
Thank you. I just wonder if we could talk about women and children and how on earth Trump is making the world a safer place for women. We have a convicted sexual abuser as president of the United States, no abortion care, rising maternal mortality, finishing of US aid, innumerable deaths all over the world. So could we please talk about that? Thank you.
Freddie, do you want to go first?
Firstly, I'd say I'm not sure an Instagram account is the ideal way to understand global politics, but maybe I'm being facetious.
You can see what's happening in Gove.
You can see it there, that's true. You can see it in other places too. Secondly, on the Musk-Trump point, I mean, I've been fascinated by it as a journalist for the sort of sheer psychodrama. I don't quite see how Trump falling out with Musk makes the world less or more safe. I can't quite apply that to the motion, I'm sorry.
And in terms of women's health?
Well, I'm afraid I'm a pro-life Catholic, so I think abortion is wrong, and I think a lot of women think that abortion is wrong. And so I know it's not a tremendously popular position. Mehdi, you're Muslim. Where are you on abortion?
I'm personally opposed to abortion, but I don't support laws that force women to do things against their will or their bodies. I believe... And I think this is not about pro-life or pro-choice. Let's not reduce it to a culture war talking about. To respect that woman's question, I do think we need to think much more broadly about the global fight for public health, which he's undermined by ripping up the USAID budget. Michael didn't address that point either. Lancet said last month that 14 million people could die in the next 5 years as a result of Trump's cuts to USAID. Now, let's say Lancet have got it wrong. Let's say it's not 14 million. Let's say it's 10% of that. 1.4 million people could die in the next 5 years as a result of his cuts to US aid. There are people starving now in Sudan who used to go to a soup kitchen. They're not getting that aid anymore. There are people in Afghanistan. Go around the world, read the New York Times reporting on how many kids have died. You can actually demonstrate the number of children who have died since January because of Musk and Trump's cuts to USAID. Another example of where the world has not been made a safer place for women or children and public health. I think that's something we haven't talked enough about.
Okay, I'm going to take two last questions. There's a lady, I think, directly in front of me, and there's one here at the front. And then I'm afraid we're going to have to wind up.
Hi, we touched on Taiwan briefly when we were talking about Trump's relationship with its allies and whether or not what's happening in Ukraine could be an indicator of what could happen in Taiwan. When we're thinking about Trump's impact in the Southern Hemisphere and its allies in the Southern Hemisphere, do we think Trump is making it safe for Australia, for New Zealand? And what does that mean if something happens in Taiwan and the allies that maybe have to have a treaty with them have to go to war?
Okay, and there's a hand up here right at the front, just near me. Thank you.
We've talked a lot about Iran's nuclear capability, and the preemptive strike was actually illegal and against international law. But in terms of making the world a safer place, should we be worried that Israel doesn't allow IAEA inspections and has not signed up to the non-proliferation treaty with their hundreds of warheads they've got at Dimona? Could you answer that, please?
That's a great question.
Israel, of course, not the only country that we know that has nuclear arms that hasn't signed up to the NPT, but is that a problem? And then what does Trump's attitude towards Taiwan perhaps mean for the Southern Hemisphere?
Well, I think if I could do Taiwan first. I think Trump actually, particularly in his first term, deserves quite a lot of credit for alerting to the world to the threat and the unreliability of China. I think that the Democrats certainly wouldn't have done it. Joe Biden had to adopt a more challenging posture towards China as a result of Donald Trump. So I think Xi Jinping's expansionary plans in Taiwan are not necessarily affected by whether it's a Democratic president or a Republican one. He's more likely to be put off invading Taiwan if he's dealing with Donald Trump than if he's dealing with a Democratic president. I would say that.
And on
and on Israel, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't. I think we should debate Trump, not Israel.
Does Israel have nuclear weapons?
Israel does have nuclear weapons.
Should they have nuclear weapons?
It's a difficult question to answer.
To speak to the...
I mean, look, this is a fundamental problem when we talk about this stuff. Obviously, most people around the world can see the hypocrisy where Israel will not acknowledge it has nukes. Everyone knows it has nukes. The US knows it has nukes. It doesn't sign up to the NPT. The irony is Michael gave us a long spiel.
Pakistan are not signed up to the NPT either.
Yes, and I'm not, but they admit they have nuclear weapons. Michael went on and on about 60% uranium. I mean, the Israelis have actual nukes capable of wiping out every country in the region. They don't allow the IAEA to come in. They're in violation of a UN Security Council resolution from 1981 calling on Israel to allow IAEA inspectors in. Iran had IAEA inspectors in. Now they're not in because of Donald Trump. So I just don't understand this argument, how anyone with a straight face can say we're safer now knowing less about Iran's nuclear program. I do want to deal very, very quickly with the Taiwan point. Yeah. You know, there's a poll. I brought a couple of polls because Michael didn't want to engage in China. 37.5% of respondents in Taiwan said in March that it's likely only 37% of respondents, I apologize, of Taiwanese people say that America will come to their aid if they're invaded. That's the slowest proportion of Taiwanese to ever answer that question. The Taiwanese people don't have faith in Donald Trump. In fact, there was a poll done by Pew of 28,000 people in 24 countries last month. 66%, two-thirds of the people around the world polled by Gallup or Pew, I can't remember which one it was, said they think Trump is dangerous, is a danger to the world. So the people on the receiving end of American foreign policy, they don't agree with this argument.
But Mehdi, there are people who argue if one's going to talk about a Trump foreign policy, a Trump doctrine,
there's no such thing.
Hang on. It is that China, seeing China as the enemy, as the adversary.
Donald Trump says Xi Jinping's his friend. He loves Xi Jinping. He will not say anything critical about Xi Jinping. When COVID came to America, he said Xi Jinping has it under control. It's only when his whole party went anti-China that he started saying racist stuff like Kung Flu
He's
and
also
blaming
said
the
nice
Chinese.
things about the Iranian leadership. I mean,
sorry?
He's also said nice things about the Iranian leadership too. So in the past,
but this is
I
my
don't
point.
think that affects whether he's.
But I'm glad you're making that point. I know we're coming to an. I got to say this point. My fundamental argument is it doesn't matter. I mean, Michael made a good point about what he actions. My point is he is not trustworthy. He is not reliable. You wouldn't elect him to run your PTA, let alone run the entire world. Everyone in this room knows. No, sorry, everyone in this room knows. Michael knows. You know this. If we were in a Cuban Missile Crisis, if the world was about to come to an end, you would not close your eyes and say, Donald Trump is the man who I want saving us. We all know it. We know it. You know it as well.
I actually want to take this moment to find out what you do think. So our motion, very informally, our motion tonight is Trump 2.0 will make the world a safer place. Who thinks that is true? First of all, who agrees with the motion? There's a hand here at the front. Thank you. Two hands.
Thank you.
Okay. Who, having heard the arguments and having heard the debate, perhaps believes that there's certainly merits in a Trump foreign policy? So we've got many more hands up. And who has changed their minds? Who, having heard the arguments, has changed their view? See, we haven't
one person. There's one open-minded person in the balcony.
Marvellous, well done. I can't actually see the hand. Where are you? Is there somebody up there? Yes.
Up there.
Would you, if we can get a microphone to you, would you like to say why? You don't have to. You don't have to.
She's the unicorn in the crowd.
Oh, it's good to hear. Good to hear.
She's like,
we love a great view.
I was probably in favour of the motion to start with, and now I'm opposed. I agree with Mehdi's arguments.
We love unicorns.
I don't know if you want to elaborate on why you changed your mind. I can see the microphone. No, it's good to know. You don't have to?
No, I don't want to, thank you.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. It's fine.
I'll take it, it's fine.
Okay, so look, there are people here who absolutely believe Trump will make the world a safer place. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes or a minute each to kind of sum up, really. Freddie, I'll let you go first, because I think that's been the more difficult case to make with this audience in this room.
Yeah, I think it is in many ways a more difficult case to make. But I would like to say to Mehdi, I think we're about the same age. And for me, the war on terror was a very formative moment in my politics. And one of the things I found very interesting about Trump as a candidate, and what a lot of Americans were drawn to, was the way he dismissed America's endless war agenda. And that's something that Barack Obama did not do. Libya was a disaster, I think you'll agree, Mehdi. And we can't pretend that the rules-based international order was working, was helping peace, was creating a more peaceful world, because it wasn't. And you dismiss the no new wars argument, Mehdi, but the fact is the number of people who died in conflict under Donald Trump has gone down, and then went straight back up when Biden came in because of Ukraine. And it's gone down again. So I do think that Trump is a breath of fresh air in foreign policy. Wait, you can laugh once I've finished. Is a breath of fresh air in foreign policy thinking. And I think one of the most interesting speeches I've heard from an American president was a speech that Donald Trump gave in Riyadh recently, where he talked about nation building. And he said, in the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built. And the interventionalists, typically Trump word, that were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, this is speaking to Arab nations, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly. And it's something only you could do. You achieved a modern miracle, the Arabian way. That's a good way. I think that's very sensible language for an American president to be using. And it's not something we heard from either George Bush, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, or Hillary Clinton.
So,
Eddie.
I'm glad you made that quote. I actually brought that same quote to use on my side, because he also knocked the neocons who destroyed the Middle East, and that was Michael who was sitting in that chair before you. So Trump actually disowned Michael, but Michael came to defend him anyways. I agree with you. I'm obviously, you know my politics. I was very anti-George Bush and Tony Blair and the war on terror. And if Donald Trump meant what he said, then I would be sitting on your side of the table. But in his first term, he did actually expand every war he inherited from Barack Obama. He did kill more people with drone strikes than Barack Obama. He did expand the wars in Afghanistan and Yemen and Syria and Pakistan. He did appoint John Bolton as his national security advisor. He did do all these things which were kind of neoconish and warmongering. He did approve of torture. And now in his second term, he came in with this pledge to Muslims in Michigan and Arab voters, I'm going to be anti-war. But he just doesn't do it. As I say, he's the first president to attack Iran. He did what George Bush and Dick Cheney refused to do. So spare me the anti-war stuff. He's just not. If he was a genuine anti-interventionist, like a Thomas Massey or a Rand Paul on the Republican side, then sure, we could have that argument. But Trump is Trump. So again, my final point is this. It doesn't matter what he says or does. He is who he is. The idea that he could make the world a safer place, the guy who says immigrants are eating your cats and dogs, who rants and raves about shark attacks and the pressure in his flushes, the guy who completely, falls for the Saudis because they put a McDonald's truck outside his hotel. That guy is not the guy you can trust to be a reliable ally. That guy is not the guy you want in a crisis. That guy has no interest in making the world a safer place because he's only interested in one human being, and that is Donald J. Trump.
We're going to end it there tonight. I want to thank all of you in the audience, first of all, for being passionate, articulate, and a great sport. Thank you very much for Freddie for stepping in. Thank you to Michael Gove. And thank you to Mehdi Hasan. And a reminder that Parallax... Thank you. Parallax debates will be launching soon for the autumn, so do follow them and do come along again. We'd love to see you there.